Hey, happy Saturday. How's everyone doing? Welcome to the stream. Wow, it's bright in here. You guys really like this light mode version. It's super bright. It's super bright. It kind of throws off my other lights. There we go. I kind of got to balance it out. Oh my gosh, it's so bright in here. I'm like going blind. There we go. That's a little bit better. I didn't realize that when those go on, it makes this, I don't know, camera goes weird. So good morning. It might not be morning. It might be morning for some of you. It's not morning for me. Sorry, just adjusting this a little bit more. Happy Saturday. What are you guys working on? I'll start with the weather because I usually do. Weather here is kind of going back and forth. It's like almost spring, but not really spring. We've had some super duper windy days the last 2 days. I think we had 40 to 50 mile an hour gusts yesterday. I'm like kind of hoping my roof partially blows off so I can get it repaired from insurance. That's wrong. Is that wrong? I don't think it's wrong. I haven't made an insurance claim like ever, and I've been paying it forever. That's the point of having insurance. Hopefully you don't need it. But anyways, so it's been super windy. I know that weather's been kind of crazy all over the U.S. Sorry, I haven't checked anywhere else, but it's been crazy. I think out east has been getting some crazy weather too, and so I don't know. That's spring for you. Spring and fall has been the in-between seasons is where things get a little bit hectic. So anyways, welcome to the stream. If you're new here, you've never been here before, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Things are a little bit different here than I guess YouTube or I guess anywhere else. It's pretty open to whatever you guys want to talk about, honestly. We talk about all things tech, all things, tech related or projects we're working on. If you have something you're working on or want to share it with somebody, go ahead and throw it in chat. I'll try to get to it. If you have problems with something you're building or working on or something that I've made a suggestion, and you're like, what the heck did you suggest that for? Yeah, go ahead and feel free to throw it in chat and we'll get to it for sure. I go top down. And I just try to get through them all. Try to keep it roughly an hour. I know people have lots of stuff to do on Saturday. I started a little bit late, so I'll probably end a little bit late. Although I do kind of have to end on time. Every time I say that, I never end on time. I go longer than my normal time, so I won't even say it today. But if you have something you want to share, throw it in chat, and I'll definitely get to it. What I've been working on, you guys probably saw it. I'll start with that, so I just don't keep blabbing about it the whole entire time. But the last, I'd say for about a week, I've kind of been just playing with a couple of things. I know that a lot of people in the community, especially Geeky Rand, been challenging me to do some more automation stuff. Don't get me wrong, I love automation stuff. Sometimes it's just hard to focus on one thing, and so this last week I had some time to focus. And I think I did good for the community. Hopefully I did. Over the last, I'd say year, I've heard a lot of grumblings, but rightfully so, about how difficult and how challenging K3s is to set up and all of the complexity that comes along with it. That doesn't even include, operational type stuff. This is just setting it up to begin with. Because to set up K3s in HA mode, I'll say HA because HA is only HA unless everything's HA. So, it's just a nuanced difference. But if you set up K3s in HA mode, you need at least 3 server nodes. You need at least 1 worker node. And then on top of that, then you need load balancers for the Kubernetes control plane so that if you issue kube control commands, you're actually going through a VIP or a load balancer instead of directly at one of the nodes. And it's also how the other nodes talk to each other. And then on top of that, then there's load balancers for all the services. These are things that you don't even think about when you spin it up. You think right away, yes, I want to scale my services. I want to scale them. And you don't think about the complexity that comes along with it. So a while ago, I would say almost a year ago, I don't remember how long ago it was, but I created a tutorial on how to do it with MySQL. Could be done with Postgres or any other database, but the takeaway there is that, it was done with an external database. The internal database at the time was SQLite. They didn't have etcd at the time. Sure enough, 2 months later, they come out and replace the etcd version with SQLite. So etcd is a high-performance database, and what they were able to do was put that high-performance database on each of the server nodes where a control plane is. It doesn't have to be, but just bear with me for the sake of keeping this kind of simple. So now they put the database inside of the cluster itself, making it HA. Hey, Jinx Master, resub Prime, 4 months. Thank you. Yeah, so much. Yeah, birthday cake. Oh, real quick, Ilu, dude, thank you so much. I saw that too while I was getting started. Thank you so much for the 5 gifted subs. I'll call it out right here, right now. 5 gifted subs from Ilud. So Etheric, Artisan, Spidaw, Gyozaku, Gyozasuki, and Major Gamer Geek. Enjoy your gifted sub from Ilud. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. So K3s did some stuff and they said, we're going to put the database inside of the cluster now to make that HA, which was awesome because now you don't have to keep Postgres or keep MySQL HA and spin up load balancers for that and try to figure out replication and all that stuff that comes along with it. If you have database already as a service and it's HA, great. You didn't have to worry about that. But for me, like me, I didn't. I destroyed my cluster a few times by accidentally trying to replicate my databases, and that made my cluster go crazy. It was welcome. It was a welcome addition to say, let's put the databases on the server. But then again, you still had to worry about load balancers for control plane and all this other stuff. So anyways, I hacked away. I hacked away at this Ansible playbook that I found that was partially working, that did a lot of what I wanted to do, but didn't fill in a lot of the other gaps. Anyway, so I contributed. It's open source, and if you're having or struggling with installing K3s, you should take a look at it. It's pretty interesting. The other interesting piece, though, that I wanted, if I were to do and contribute something publicly, was to make sure that the K3s cluster that was shared or built was actually running QVIP. QVIP's kind of hard to understand, but remember we were just talking about all those load balancers for control plane. Well, QVIP actually creates that load balancer inside the cluster, I guess I should say, and exposes that for you to use for your kube control commands, and it's also the control plane for all the other nodes to talk to each other. So super awesome that this thing exists, and that you can use that instead of spinning up a load balancer yourself. So anyways, it's super interesting. I was honestly working on this like kind of nonstop, at least the video portion for the last 2 days, because it was pretty complicated. I wrapped up the code actually. I want to say last weekend is when I wrapped up all the code, and I was like, this is solid. And so I ran it like 50 more times because I was like, I'm not going to put this thing out if it doesn't work. So anyways, ran it 50 more times and worked on the video, and it was a late night. So anyways, hope you enjoyed. So now's the point where we talk about what you guys are working on. Let me get caught up on events that happened. So we had some follows, we had some subs. I'll call those out really quick, and we'll get caught up. So shortly before the stream, bathroom names, words, Bathroom Mareth. Sorry, I apologize. Thanks for the follow. Piety, and Rumpatil Jen. Thanks for the follow, appreciate it. And I think there was CT Marsh. I think that one was shortly before. I apologize if it wasn't, but thanks for the follow, guys. Appreciate it. Welcome. So, and Subject 359. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. So let's get into it. Let's first of all, let's see who was here first. I know you guys want to know who was here first. I saw who was here first. Wait, I don't scroll that one anymore. Sorry. Change of little change of how the stream works. I don't scroll that one anymore. PC Geek was here first. PC Geek was here first. I think, at least according to here. Can I scroll? Let's go. Let's check. Let's check the real log. Oh, no. Wait, I was wrong. So Tyrannox was here first, at least according to this. 243. Is anyone here yet? And Xavier D, I am. Yes. Yeah. So thank you guys for being here so early. When I opened the chat window and was syncing things up before, I thought it was PC Geek, but I stand corrected. This other window says it because it's a little bit delayed. So let's get into it. Let's see what you guys are working on. Ilud, all flight controllers, give me a go. No go for launch. Yeah, a little bit late today, but how's it going, Ilud? Good to see you. Home Lab New, hi Tim, how's it going? Is that Large Dog? I like it. Large Dog. Good afternoon. Afternoon all. Sigora, how's it going? Lots of emotes in here. Thank you guys. Let's see. Home Lab New, looks like I'm getting transcoding today. All right. I forget to even check on that anymore, and I feel bad. I don't want to waste your guys' data, so if I get transcoding options, that's awesome. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, sometimes Twitch gives people transcoding options, so you can scale down the video or transcode down to use less data, or use it on mobile, whatever you want to use it for. And it's kind of the luck of the draw, the roll of the dice. I'm sure they have some algorithm. Once you become partner, you're guaranteed transcoding options, but until then, it's kind of the Wild West. So, so glad I have it. Save your data. Drop down the quality if you want. Let's see. Seagore, nice. Let's see. Drawing is good. Heyo. Dunkle Dan. Dunkle Dan, haven't seen you in a while. How's it going? I recently got a drone at Goodwill as well. Actually, $5 roo. All right, Dunkle Dan. Oh man, you're competing with Techno now. Techno for Goodwill stuff, and I skipped over it. Techno on Goodwill score on Goodwill scores with Techno. I found 60 FPV drone. Oh, yeah, see, man, I was just talking about Techno. You were probably referencing him too. Anyways, Techno finds great stuff at Goodwill. We need to figure out where he shops at Goodwill. Pizza Geek stream keeps cutting out here and there. Oh, I don't know. Try transcoding. Like my signals look good, and I have not dropped any frames according to this. According to OBS, frames dropped 0%. Dunkle Dan, once the weather is actually nice out, I'll be playing with it some more. Yeah, I honestly have a drone too. I flew it a ton like the first 2 years. Sadly, it's been like in my basement for a while. I need to break it out again. I've flown it in a few places I probably wasn't supposed to fly it, which was my mistake. I didn't know the rules, but yeah, it's super fun to fly, but I'm always so scared. I'm always so scared to fly my drone. It's just like, I'm just like, go this way a little bit, go this way a little bit, go straight up, come straight down. Okay, that's enough. I don't know. It makes me so nervous to fly my drone for some reason. Maybe it's just going to take practice. So, let's see. Takano, also community garage sale today. I found a projector for $5. Plugged it in, it seems to work, but something was rattling. I was reading the directions when I looked up the LCD and started to burn. The huge black spot in the middle now. Turns out, it was the fan. Yeah. Well, that's too bad. It's glad you tested it before, but $5 too. It's at some point it's kind of like, well, okay, you kind of got to roll the dice. Large Dog, trying to figure out how to build an intranet site. I think you meant intranet. Just like an internet site, but don't expose it publicly. I think. But you probably mean you also want authentication, SAML and stuff if you're doing enterprise. Lights are flashing. Hey, Dunkle Dan, resub, Prime, 2 months streak. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Dunkle Dan. Large Dog, good luck on the site. Let me know what you're thinking of building with. Skook Alley, hey, nice vid today. Hey, thanks so much. It's long time in the making. When I have to create stuff and then present it in a video, it takes a long time. So I appreciate it. I know it's pretty dense, but I tried to make it a little bit easier and a little bit more approachable than K3s has been in the past. So hopefully you find some good out of it. Let's see. Hey, 8-bit Oni. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Drawing is good. Should I set up Kate's environment or K3s Rancher? Drawing is good. Yeah, it's a good question. That's a good question. Either. I've heard people have set up, full-blown Kates before. Totally fine. The reason why K3s was created, one of the reasons why it was created is because it's, meant to be for the edge, for more self-hosting. And I don't just mean self-hosting in your home lab, I mean self-hosting it on top of IaaS or something like that, where you can just install it on bare metal or virtual machines and go and still get the Kubernetes API along with some additional extras. And so when I think about full-blown Kates, I think it has all of this cloud code. So all of this cloud codes for all of the vendors and how clouds operate. And I get it. You're still using a version of Kubernetes that most clouds are using, but at the same time, you're also getting a lot of additional overhead, possibly. So I don't know. I've never installed real Kates. I shouldn't even say real Kates because a lot of cloud vendors have their own anyways. Google has their own version of Kubernetes and so does Azure, so does AWS, and they're all distributions as well. So it's hard to know like what the real mainline Kubernetes, or who's using real mainline Kubernetes, because a lot of places have special needs, so they create their own distribution. Anyways, you can do K3s without Rancher. You can do K3s without Rancher. You can do, and there's so many combinations. I would say, me personally, if it was me and I had the choice today, I would just go bare metal or virtualized. When I say bare metal, I just mean self-hosted. K3s. And then if you need Rancher later, do it. If you don't, then don't. You just want to learn Kubernetes, kube control commands, and you want to get the Kubernetes dashboard up and going without Rancher, totally fine. Totally works too. Kubernetes dashboard is really nice. Really nice. They haven't figured out the auth piece, but other than that, you just port forward the ports from the cluster to yourself. You can check it out, kill the connection when you're done, and you're back out. So that's what I would do. Yeah, K3s. That's Geek Almighty. I agree. I would go with K3s, especially if you're doing it in your own personal environment and not in the cloud. If you are on the cloud, then I would just say use hosted Kubernetes, but that's no fun. iLoot, early birds get free subs. Oh yeah, thanks for the gifted ones. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, iLoot. Xavier's D, Techno Temp, running bad blocks on 15 hard drives I just got. Ooh, not good. Getting ready to put them in a new JBOD I got. Taking forever. Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, I mean, if you have a warranty on those hard drives, I would send them back. Part of when I put my disk shelf in place, I bought 6 drives, 6 8 terabyte drives, whose name or brand shall not be named unless you watch the video. And slowly, one by one, all had bad blocks, but it was this over the span of like 4 months, to where I warrantied all of them out. And I, for a large portion of my life, I rarely had bad blocks. Like I've never run into this until I started doing more and more data and had this disk shelf. So I started thinking, like, is this my disk shelf? Do I need these the interlace? I forget what they're called. But is it my hardware? Is it the disk shelf? And it took me forever to figure it out. And I was like, there's no way that like all 6 of these hard drives just keep having bad blocks over time. FreeNAS would throw an error, and I would pull it out, pull it back in, resilver the disks in ZFS, and it'd be fine for like a month. And then it would happen again. And it was, 1 of 6 drives every time. And I was like, there's no way. Sure enough, it was. I slowly did a warranty claim on all 6 of them. And it, like I said, it was over the course of 3 or 4 months. A lot of nail biting going on because I can only suffer 2 losses before I lose my data. I have backups, but that's no fun. And sure enough, I haven't had 1 error in probably 9 months with the new drives that got replaced. So long story short, if you know what to do, this stuff. But I would totally, if I had any bad blocks, any errors now, I'm totally using that warranty. Get my money's worth for that warranty. Because for some drives, you pay a little bit extra for a longer warranty. It's just included with that model of that tier of drive. So I totally would. PC Geek, I use your Ansible playbook on my bare metal clusters up and running. All right, awesome. A couple of mods I had to make, like Ethernet device on my nodes, and adding the ask pask or ask become pask to the Ansible command. All right, yeah, awesome. That's awesome. That's a success story. All right, thank you. Yeah, so that all vars, that all.yaml file is really just variables that you can set, and it's really there for your tweaking. Those are the only things you can kind of control without modifying code. But yeah, it should be working. I have no idea why the lights are going crazy, but that was awesome. They decided they were going to flash right before they turned to the Tokyo Nights. Yeah, I'm cool with that. Random flashing lights. Okay. I have bugs in my code. I know what the bug is, but there's unless I want to write 1,000 lines of code to fix what's going on, I'm just gonna let it roll. But Pizza Geek, that's awesome. Yeah, and so if you don't use sudo-list password, you're gonna have to ask for ask pask and ask become pask for both of those. But at least in my cluster, I use the cloud images that I just set up a week ago. And those cloud images have sudo-list password. All it needs is a key, and so it just works. But all my other playbooks, I have to pass and ask become pass and all that, because I haven't converted them all over to cloud images yet. But awesome, man. Glad you got it going. Geek Almighty, or watch the, I missed something. I missed the first part of this. Or watch the video that Tim released earlier today. Yeah, sure, do it. But don't do it now. Just wait a little bit. Dunkle Dan, recently got my hands on a mid-2012 MacBook Pro for $50. Hey, good deal, good deal. Fixed loose hinges, slapped on an SSD, and buying RAM for it, put Ubuntu on it, and trying to figure out the touchpad issues. Apparently, MacBooks are notorious for having trackpad issues with Linux. Yeah, they do. They're notorious for having issues with any other OS than Mac itself. Because I've been on boot camp on many of Macs, sometimes MacBooks or Mac Minis, and it's like the roll of the dice, And if you look at their drivers for the stuff, it was like totally low effort, just like, hey, here's a driver from 15 years ago. A basic driver should work. Linux is totally different. They're just like they're not even trying to hear it. That's just open source people creating drivers for that, or hoping that the ones from the kernel just work for it. But good luck with that, especially with multi-touch and stuff and gestures on the pad. I would be surprised. Actually, I wouldn't be that surprised because open source, people who are running Linux have probably installed it on a MacBook before, and someone who, has knowledge of writing drivers is probably like, I'm done with this. I'm going to figure this out. Hopefully. Let's see. Skookally, got traffic set up for my cluster thanks to your docs, vids, and live streaming content. Thanks. Hey, Skookally, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you got it going. Awesome. That's awesome because the traffic one is kind of tough. So, it is kind of tough. No idea why the lights are flashing right now. I'm okay with it though. Let's see. PC Geek. No more load balancer. Yay! That's awesome. Nginx load balancer. Maybe that's why. It was a preemptive blink. Oh, I think I know why. The timing of events. My code is a little bit ahead of when I get the events from Stream Elements. That's what's going on. Mayrink has resubbed tier 1 3 months, 3 months streak. Happy Saturday, Tim and everyone. Thank you so much, Mayrink. Thank you for the subscription, continued support. 3 months. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. But PC Geek, yeah, no more Nginx load balancer. Yay! I know. That one. I struggled with that one so much. I mean, I think I was talking about Discord like 3 months ago, roughly, that I was overhauling everything and trying to fix my load balancer woes again. And I get to a point where I can't solve it anymore the way that I have mine configured. And I always forget when I get to that point. So this time I put notes in all of my configs to say, if you see this error or get to this point, you've been here before. And you can't fix it without redoing some stuff. So anyways, yeah, it is kind of nice to get rid of stuff, to get rid of stuff in general. I know that in software development, it's a huge badge of honor if you can delete code. I feel like deleting virtual machines is that same thing for infrastructure. Like if I can delete infrastructure and do more with less, that's a good thing. So. But I think so, and not only just less resources, but just less complexity too. It's less complexity for it's another IP, it's another VIP. It might be QVIP with a VIP, and it might be 1, 2 virtual machines. Where do they live? Which host did they live on? All that stuff that comes along with it. More things to patch, and even though it does give you HA, it's just another link in this whole entire chain of HA, and if that goes down, then you can't access Kubernetes until it comes back up. So why not just keep throwing it inside of Kubernetes? At some point, it's just going to be, it's going to stand up and it's going to have everything all in one. I feel like we're getting to that point. So let's see, Skookally. Next up, Home Assistant. All right, let me know how that goes. I need to get back to Home Assistant at some point. I went all in for a little bit. I backed out a little bit, and my interest is kind of peaked again. I would love to dive back in at some point. Sigor, I have a mid 2009 laptop that's been running Acro Linux for about 2 years with little issues. Just make sure to use the easy install and check the Arch wiki for natural scroll file to update. Yeah, that's natural scroll. So funny. They Apple stuff, but yeah, they call a lot of stuff natural, even though it's kind of unnatural. Natural scroll is one of those that I always make fun of because, for a long time, on a mouse, if you push up on a mouse wheel, the window actually goes down. it's hard to think about until you actually do it. You push the mouse wheel up, the window goes down. So to scroll to see, yeah. And so anyways, they kind of flipped that around because they were like, well, when you touch stuff, when you pull it down or push it up, the screen should go up and down. And so they call that natural scrolling. So if you ever, use a mouse or something on a Mac, you'll see that option. Anyways, it's super interesting to me, to say the least. Drawing is good. What face? I still use Nginx Proxy Manager. No time to look at traffic. I hear you. If it's working, keep it. If it's simple, you like it, secure, it's working, stick with it. That's my motto. Because swapping out reverse proxies, one is kind of a big undertaking, and two, at the end of the day, what do you get? You get a reverse proxy. So focus on things that that either you can learn or do or new capabilities. Reverse proxy is, again, it's a means to an end. It's what do you want to do? You want to concentrate all your requests through one proxy and possibly provide certificates at the same time. Which one you use is up to you. And if it's working, focus on something you don't have or that's not working. Swapping out reverse proxies is I don't think would be fun. Wouldn't be fun. If you had a choice in the beginning and didn't have one set up, yeah, you'd choose either one. But swapping them out, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a net zero for the most part. You're still getting a reverse proxy with some certificates. Scoot Callie, I never went with the load balancer. I just used Keep Alive D. Not sure if QVIP is a huge difference. Yeah, that is true. I mean, if you only went with QVIP, I guess that would kind of be okay, but you need something there that's gonna be able to handle the 6443 requests, the TCP requests. So something needs to be there, I think, that can handle those requests. Exor, how's it going, man? Exor, resub, Prime, 17 months, 1 month streak. Thank you so much, Prime sub. Thank you. Yo, how's it going? Exor? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. No route. Traffic is easier, it seems. Yeah. I think it depends on your perspective. Like from if you're a container first, cloud native, like traffic seems just like a lot of other things you've configured. But if you're not cloud first, or doing a lot of cloud native stuff, Nginx seems like a great fit. Because you can install it many different ways. Yes, you can install it in a container, but it's technically, I don't think it fits into the cloud native description. But just depends. Just depends on what you're used to, I guess I should say. Secor, yeah. Oh, let's see. Let me see. Dunkle Dan, I had Manjaro on it originally, ran into some issues, but switched to Ubuntu and somehow fixed it. But I'm not sure how, so that worries me. I'll look at the natural scroll file, though. Yeah, for sure. Tyrannox, good evening. Hey, how's it going? Good evening. Geek Almighty, I'm using Nginx as well. Jinx, Masta, it's 21:25 here. Yeah, that's pretty late. Let's see. Tucano, weather in Arizona, 6 a.m., 60 degrees, 2 p.m., 100 degrees. Yeah, I hear you. It's kind of like that all the time, I feel like. Drawing is good. Could you talk a bit about the difference between Nginx Proxy Manager and Traffic? I think I did a little bit. Traffic is cloud native. Cloud native, it's a container-based networking. It also has a proxy aspect to it, so you can do a reverse proxy, but it can also act as a load balancer as well. It can do many things, but really it was built for the cloud. And when I say cloud right now, that pretty much means Kubernetes. So it was built with Kubernetes in mind. Nginx Proxy Manager wasn't that way. It's using Nginx. It has a database. It has a UI. And it lets you configure it super duper easy. I think a lot of your configuration changes are going to be done in the UI, which is totally fine. Whereas on Traffic, a lot of it is going to be done in YAML, because everything is in YAML. But it's a declarative way to create your instance of Traffic and preserve it in a repeatable way. As long as you have the same YAML, you could deploy it anywhere, and it'll run exactly the same. Last time I looked at Nginx Proxy Manager, a lot more stateful, and I don't think configuring it can be done in YAML. Correct me if I'm wrong. some of the initial configuration and bootstrapping, I think you can, but I don't think you could declaratively state all of your routes and all of your ingresses and everything about the application itself or the service itself in YAML. But I mean, it's whatever you want to use for sure. I did use Nginx Proxy Manager for a little bit. I used it for a little bit internally too, because I was like, I need to keep my finger on the pulse of what people are using. But I ended up just going full bore traffic everywhere right now. I think I have 4 instances, but yeah, so a lot of differences. But at the end of the day, if you're using them for reverse proxy, they're going to give you the same thing. They're going to give you a reverse proxy, and they're going to give you possibly some certificates if that's where you're going to put your Let's Encrypt certificates. So, make mod hack. Just started learning about Ansible this weekend. Your video from a few weeks ago was a great starting point. Hey, thank you. Yeah, this awesome. Let me know if I can help with anything. When I did that video, I just learned Ansible that week too. So I hadn't used it at all, and I was like, okay, like this seems pretty popular. I should know this stuff. Not in my daily, not in my toolbox daily. It's not something I do, but I was like, I got to learn this. I want to figure out what it's about, and I'm tired of clicking buttons. Less buttons I can click and more CLI I can execute and watch and waste all the time instead of clicking buttons. I'll definitely do it. But yeah, let me know if I can help out with anything. Mafni, it's 21:17 here. Yeah, it's late for you guys. It's late. Xavier's D, I'm killing time. 15 SAS drives running, bad blocks taking forever. Currently 26% done, and it's been going for 23 hours. Ooh, yeah, that's a long time. I bet they're warm too. Kiki Ran, yeah, magic. All right, let's see. Tyrannox, this weekend, I'm working on moving all my stuff to a subnet in order to facilitate my new ISP's 1 gigabit connections that's being installed next week. Rancher doesn't like the new IP, however, so it requires work. Yeah, Ilud. Being so kind to give me tips in Discord. No joy as of yet. Yeah, I don't think Rancher likes changing IPs if it's a single node machine. Which could be what you're on. Should be fine otherwise, because if it's in a Kubernetes cluster, it could spin up on any node, and so you're not limited to one. But I think if you're doing the Docker version, it's super important. There are ways to, I think, change it, and there are ways to change it, I think, in the UI. But I think it's a lot deeper than just changing it in the UI. I think you have to actually run some commands too. So, but awesome. Congratulations on getting 1 gigabit Ethernet. That is awesome. Kiki Ran, hello. How's it going, Kiki Ran? Let me see. Hey, Limnick, thanks for follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Let's see. Xavier's D, last weekend, we didn't leave voice chat until 7 a.m. Sunday morning. Kitty and I finally passed out around then. I saw that. So I joined Discord chat last week. It was pretty awesome. Hey, I might have some time to do it again tonight. And you guys, this time I won't be putting up lights. I think last time I was like, it was great. Like there was a voice chat. I think there were 8 or 9 people, maybe more in there, and people just talking, solving problems, or just hanging out and talking. And I was like, I'm totally gonna listen to this, but I have to put up a light. So I was like, okay, putting up a light, and then everyone's like, we're turning on video. So I'm like, hey, I'll turn on video too, and you can see me fixing the light, whatever, doing a horrible job. But I learned so much about you guys during that session. It was good. There's lots of good jokes in there. Lots of good jokes. I probably can't say a lot of them on stream, but I learned about all kinds of stuff. So, anyways, then what was it? Sunday morning, I got up and I saw your message saying like, hey, we were in chat until 7 a.m. And I was like, ooh, I think I signed off at almost midnight. So anyways, maybe another session tonight. We'll see. Rand approves. I agree. That was a good session for sure. I learned so much about you all. Maybe too much. I'm kidding. Dunkle Dan, and I'm also trying to do more research in finding low power dual NIC solution for firewall stuff that's decently cheap and proving more difficult than I thought it'd be. Yeah, you have a lot of constraints there. You have a few requirements, I should say there. Small, dual NIC, and cheap. Usually those three things don't play along. It's like this triangle where you got to stretch one of them where you say, okay, not small, then you save money and you get more NICs, or you say one NIC, then you know, save money. So it's kind of weird, but yeah, it is tough. Cheap is, I think, almost never to be found on anything that's miniaturized. Anything that gets miniaturized, the price goes up. You know, because I don't know if they produce less or it's more niche or what it is, but anytime things get smaller, the costs go up. If there's a, you know, comparative version of the bigger thing. Let's see. Met Minister. Hey, Tim and chat. So about K3s etcd, how much traffic is there to be expected between the nodes syncing? Would it require 10 gigabit connections between the nodes in a production environment? No, not at all. I will say that etcd is it is super chatty, but it's lots and lots of little packets of messages, just database syncs. Hey, I got this message. You're elected leader. You're not leader. I'm leader. Message, Kubernetes command. So it's super chatty. I will say that it's super chatty, and those there's lots of reads and writes on all those databases. This is the reason why a lot of people don't do etcd on Raspberry Pis. One, because there are lots of reads and writes, so it'll probably destroy that SD over time. Although I've never really had problems with SD cards. Like that SD card has been back there in my, I can't point right, in that machine back there, my little LED panel for years. And it's code I wrote, and it's writing and reading all day long. I've never had a problem, but I heard you could with etcd. But not only that the drive might die, but also etcd is very sensitive to latency. Hey, Exor, dude, thank you so much. Exor gifted a 1 sub to Rollers. Thank you so much. You didn't have to, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. But etcd is highly sensitive to latency So if there's a lot of latency in between, or it's slow reads, slow writes, it'll consider that offline because it hadn't responded in a certain period of time, and then one will be elected leader, and then all of a sudden it'll happen to him, and you'll just have this flapping of machines up and down and whatever. I know you're not asking about Raspberry Pis, but it's just calling out some of the challenges with etcd. So you don't need 10 gig. No way. No, not needed at all for etcd. I mean, 1 gig, you could probably do to 100. You could probably do it over 10 megabit. Because it's not a lot of traffic. It's more frequency than volume. Hey, thank you, man. Thank you so much. Make ModHack sub Prime. Hey, thank you. All the alerts are going off. Make ModHack. Thanks for subscribing. Prime sub. Thank you so much. Xavier's D cheered 100 bits. Thank you so much. And Low Stark drop account. Thanks for follow. Appreciate it. If I missed any in there, I apologize. It doesn't look like I did, but if I did, call me out on it. Oh, and there was someone who subbed last week when I was reviewing the footage. Someone subbed last week. I can't remember the name now, but it never came up in my alerts, and it wasn't even here in my alerts. And I noticed on the screen it said so-and-so undefined. So I apologize. If it says undefined up there, that means I probably don't see it on my screen down here either, and don't think I just didn't call out your sub. It just means that it actually didn't register with Stream Elements, at least part of it. Dude, thank you. PC Geek, 200 bits. Thank you so much. Xavier's D, 101 bits. Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Okay, so Met Minister, no. Don't need 10 gig for etcd for communication between nodes. I don't think you would need 10 gig anywhere in a Kubernetes cluster, anywhere, unless you're running 1,000, 2,000 nodes, and they all needed, just a huge pipe to be able to communicate on. And I don't even think that would even be a problem, even on gigabit. But anyways, long story short, you don't need anything huge for Kubernetes to actually just maintain itself. Tech with Andrew, resub, Prime, 5 months. Thank you so much. Glad to catch the stream. Thank you so much. Hype train. Yeah, let's go. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks for the Prime sub, 5 months. Ansar, interested to hear about specific issues you ran into with qvip with the service load balancing. Is the problem with your specific use case or getting it going at all? Yeah, good question. For me, it was getting it going at all. So what happened was it's such a not a long process because I automated it, but it's at the very end where the thing I needed to test. So long story short, kubevip can also be a service load balancer on top of your control plane load balancer. So kubevip sounds like a great replacement for MetaLB. If you want to do that. And I kind of wanted to, because I was like, why have two things doing the same thing? You know, where I'm already pulling in kubevip, similar config. Why not just use kubevip? I couldn't get it working. Every time I tried to expose something with a service of load balancer, it would never get an IP address, or things would get weird. Things would get really weird. And so I don't know if it was because like my configuration for the service was wrong, but I was using ARP over other types of networking, just wouldn't work. So every time I exposed it, it was pending an IP address from kubevip, and I would never get an IP address. And I tried it. I must have tried it 50, 60 times. And then there's this game. It's like, okay, is it my config or is it the version? And then I'd redo some of my config, tweak the config, still wouldn't work. Okay, well, let me like Google to the ends of the earth and figure out if anyone else is having this problem. And it's pretty sparse. Like that piece of kubevip is pretty new. Like kubevip in general is kind of new too. But the service load balancer is really new. And then they have this new product coming out. I think they've kind of separated the two, and they're calling it like cloud config or something. Not cloud config, cloud load balancer, which is kind of what it is. And then I was like, well, maybe I should use that instead. And so I hacked away and tried to get that to work. I just couldn't get it to work. So anyways, long story short, you might run into it too. If you can figure it out, heck yeah, let me know. But I went back to trusty MetaLB, just works, rock solid, been using it for years. I know exactly how it works, and I could use my existing config. I just parameterized my existing config with variables, and it was good. It was good like immediately. And I was like, why? Okay, no more wasting time. In the future, if this changes or gets easier, I'm gonna give it a go again. But yeah, give it a try. Aziak. Ooh, first time I get notification. All right. Allswing. Have you tried using RKE2 over K3s? I have spun up RKE2 a little bit. And I played with it. I mean, it's interesting. I know exactly why they're doing this, and why there's yet another distribution of Kubernetes. I mean, they've said it publicly. It's targeting the government segment because it adheres to security guidelines, and they've stripped a lot of it out. And so, have I tried using it over? No, because I still run K3s here, and I think there's going to be a case for K3s. You know, K3s is meant to be batteries included, where a lot of things are configured for you. Your networking is configured for you. It comes with traffic if you wanted to. I feel like that's going to be their bleeding edge distribution of Kubernetes, where their RKE2 is going to be solid and run this in the cloud or run it in your self-hosted cloud for governments. is kind of what it boils down to. And it sounds interesting, but they're not including traffic. They're including, I think, Nginx ingress controller on there. Super interesting. But I haven't done it. I haven't done it for real. And I did consider doing that for this last installation of with Ansible. I considered like, hey, why not just swap this out for RKE2? But I was like, I'm like a couple, dimensions off from where I wanted to be. I was like automating this with Ansible, doing kubevip, and then I'm going to use RKE2. I'm like, okay, do I want this to work or not? Not that I probably wouldn't figure it out, or someone else hasn't already figured it out, but I just feel like K3s has a pretty good community. Doesn't mean I won't ever do RKE2 because it sounds interesting, and I might have an RKE2 cluster spinning up here, and who knows, when Rancher moves to RKE2, I could migrate to it then if they allow me to, because I'm technically on RKE. I have two clusters. One's on RKE1 and one's on K3s. And the K3s one is my Rancher cluster that I built just for Rancher, and then my RKE1 cluster is the one I provisioned from Rancher. And so they've always been doing RKE1, but in new versions you can choose K3s or RKE2. They give me an easy way to go to RKE2, and it's like, a turnkey. Yeah, why not? But yeah, I need to do some more reading. But would I choose one over the other? Not right now. I mean, I think K3s is pretty battle tested. As much as new distribution of K3s can be tested. RK2 is still in the works, or maybe there is a version that's usable. I'm sure there is, but I don't think it's reached GA yet. I could be wrong. Haven't looked recently. Oh, let's see. But yeah, good question. Geeky Ran, Tim is exposing his cluster mods. Yeah. Oh man. Let's see. JCX Life, I blew up a real dusty PSU that came with a former EPOS machine on eBay. It was like a block of dust with a PSU attached, but managed to catch the stream. Hype. Yeah. How's it going, JCX? Good to see you. Good to see you. Let's see. I'm gonna look. What time? Oh, we're still doing good on time. Well, there was one for Jamerson real quick. Hey, you all, my first time here. What's up? How's it going? Good to see you. Good to see you. Xavier T, do you have any guides or videos info on testing the speeds of your RAID array, JBODs, etc.? Can I use Crystal Disk on SMB shares to test the speeds, or is there other stuff? Also, the best way to test read and write between two servers with my TrueNAS media server type stuff. I haven't done this in a while. Like anytime I've ran Crystal Disk, it was really on the disk that I'm on. I think if I recall, Crystal Disk is looking for real disks, and maybe it works with network shares. I thought there was a different tool to test throughput, right? Like to test disk speed over the network, really you're testing network speed, because at some point you're going to be limited by the network transfer, unless you have 10 gig or 40 gig or something, 25 gig or something ridiculous, or you have a really slow array, which I doubt is the case. But Crystal Disk is the one that I've used to test my SSDs to say, hey, are my SSDs performing right? But I haven't done it for anything remote. There are tools out there. I remember, to be able to test network throughput. But that one's, I mean, if you can, I mean, but you can test that in many different ways. I mean, most of the time, if you have a disk shelf or something and you have gigabit Ethernet, transfer file, did I get gigabit? Yep. So I know I'm not bottlenecked by my disk array. But if you can exceed that, then yeah, I don't know any. Yeah, I'd have to do some investigation. But I'm very familiar with Crystal Disk. But again, I've only done it for local disks, nothing over the network. Let's see. Foxconn Cloud. Techno Tim, I'm currently looking for a 42U rack. Ooh, tall one. I live in a state where racks are hard to come by locally. Here too. I was wondering if you would eat the cost of shipping and get one used on eBay, or would you go for a newer rack? Ooh, yeah, that one's tough. It depends on the cost. I mean, it depends on the cost. You know, it's going to be a trade-off. If you're going to find one brand new and exactly what you want, brand new with a warranty, not that you really need a warranty because it's probably just going to be all steel and steel's not going to break, but you never know. But if you're going to get one all new and exactly what you want versus a used one, which is usually what they have, it just depends. I mean, on eBay, you're going to basically pick out what you want too. That one's tough for me. I'd have to see the cost. If we're talking the difference of $100, I'd probably go with the new one, even if it meant spending $100, because most likely the new one's gonna have exactly what I want. And then on top of that, you know, $100 is probably a small percentage of what you're really paying overall for it. It just depends on the cost. Depends on the difference too. But I'd find something you want and that's gonna work for you and has everything you want, exactly what you want for a long time. Because 42U racks are pretty big, and once you start putting stuff in there, you're most likely not going to get rid of it unless you find something else that's exactly what you want, and then you're going to have to move everything over and all of that time and effort to then sell that other one too. So yeah, I don't know. I would find exactly what you want before you do, and I know it's tempting to just take what you can get, and sometimes that's the case with secondhand stuff, especially in person. But I would definitely make sure it's what you want. Let's see. Just keep watching. There's also a DIY build, rack it yourself plans on Google. All right. I like it. Yeah. Geeky Ran, new racks are 800 plus. Yeah, for sure. It's getting up there for sure. 42U racks will typically be cheaper than smaller ones. Go used. No need for new. There you go too. Let's see. The problem with DIY is it can be just expensive. Wood pieces around me are not as stable. Yeah, I hear you. DIY is kind of tough too. I mean, it depends on how much time you're going to put into the thing. how much is your time worth? You know, we talking days, weeks, or are we talking, you know, hours? Let's see. No e-voting. Can you can you make multiple start until you get transcoding? You can make multiple start until you get transcoding. I can make multiple start. I don't know the first part of what you're trying to say, but I do understand that this is in the context of transcoding that I was talking about earlier. I don't know. I don't know how to force get transcoding other than like the Twitch gods saying that I get it or me becoming partner, which is probably not going to happen because I don't reach the stream time. Let's see. Xavius D. Oh my God. Bitbot controlled drone in your stream room. Yes. No, I know. No, yeah, right. Like I said, like I'm super scared to fly my drone. It's for some reason I get so nervous. I'm just I don't know. I'm afraid I'm going to break something. I broke one of the props once and it was super cheap to replace. But after that, I kind of got like scared. I got like drone shy of flying it for some reason. Because I was like, I don't want that to happen again. Plus, I had a little incident where I flew it where I shouldn't have been, and on accident because the winds were blowing it there, and that kind of freaked me out too. So, Anyblast, resub, Prime, 11 months. Thank you so much, Anyblast. How's it going? Let's see. It can hold two 730 XDs, 750s, two R630s. Then I will be happy to take it. Yeah. I think you can get by without even having a 42U rack for that amount of space. I could be wrong. Let's see. Hey, Desperado, 182. Thanks for follow. Appreciate it. Lawrence Forces. For someone who wants to host some container-based services in a cloud environment, not self-hosted yet, and many of them, a couple are apps and a couple of Discord bots, do you think it's worth going for a K3s cluster or a couple of VPSs configured for Docker Compose or something else? Let's see. Yeah, good question. So you're in the cloud and you're asking, hey, should I run K3s in the cloud, get some VPSs, or one VPS basically, and run Docker? It depends. If you don't need to scale beyond one, I would say just go Docker. It simplifies a lot of stuff, but then it makes scaling harder later on. But I would say, like, if you want to keep it simple and you don't need to scale and you don't need everything that comes along with Kubernetes, the good and the bad, just go with Docker. I mean, the same thing I recommend even for home, even if you're self-hosting this stuff. I say the same thing. I would probably say the same thing for the cloud too. I mean, most likely your web apps, you may or may not scale. Depends on how they're architected, how stateful they are, and how they handle sessions. So probably fine. Web apps are pretty good at that. They usually have more than one running because they expect a lot of users, and because of that, their architecture becomes distributed. But then like things like, Discord bots, that's tough because those don't scale well. Because you need a lot of architecture or a lot of infrastructure in place to help them scale. I run one myself, scale of one. Why? Because it's super stateful. Every time a message comes in, I do something with that message. And that's easy with one. When you have two, if that two messages come in on a scale of two, now both bots are doing the work, and who's going to respond or who's going to take action? Well, both are. So you got to figure out all that. You got to figure all of that out. Once you scale beyond one, you got to figure out some kind of messaging system or something, whatever. So I would say stick with one until you can't you can't do it anymore. And I'd probably say stick with Docker until you don't want to do Docker anymore. And keep it simple. And then, in the future, if you're like, hey, I want to learn or do Kubernetes, start with a node of one, but in HA mode. That'll still give you all of the, Kubernetes API and all the stuff, so you can still learn and do Kubernetes-like things, especially deployments and GitOps type stuff, as if you're, a scale of 1,000. Scale of one also works just the same. So, you could do that too. A little bit of overhead there, but depends on what you want to do. I would say keep it simple until it doesn't need to be anymore, because I have an easy, I have a knack for making things complicated. And so I'm trying to simplify a lot of stuff. And so I always try to keep, give that recommendation of just keep it simple if you can. And there's no need to figure out and learn Kubernetes just to get your web apps going and your Discord bot going, because those, at the end of the day, That's the value you want to deliver. You're not in the market to like give someone a Kubernetes cluster or run Docker for someone. You know, those are there so you can run your own services, and those services are your web apps and your Discord bot, and you want those up sooner than later. So do with, you know, go the easy route and figure out the rest later. Drawing is good. I already talked about that. JCX, glorious smell of small emissions and magic smoke. YouTube taught me how to fix power supplies and didn't even know it. Yeah. For some reason, I like the smell when electronics burn. Is that weird? Is that weird? Sometimes I like that, and sometimes I like the smell of gasoline. I don't know why. Anyways, 8-Bit Oni. I follow you on YouTube, and I did not know you had a Twitch. Oh, I do now. How do you not know? It's like everywhere on YouTube. Oh, I'm kidding. It's totally fine. I'm glad you found me. I would love to know how you found me. If you didn't know from YouTube, probably just browsing. You probably saw me online. So thanks for finding me. This is like outside of the algorithm. I love it. JCX, hey, you know those points you get when watching the videos, do you get more of them when you sub? Since I have a weird number of them now, 824, when there been a multiplier of 10 and sometimes gifted me someone gifted you a sub. Yeah, I think there's a multiplier. I think there's a multiplier for things you do, and you're exactly right. So I think if you are a sub, you earn more points more often. Let's see, iLoot. It gives you more if you interact in chat. Oh, I didn't know that too. Yeah, channel points. All right, I'm learning stuff. I'm never on this side of it. I'm on the other side of this, so interesting. So I didn't know that too. So awesome, like it. Drawing is good. My one question for Nginx traffic was duplicated. Sorry, no problem. I want to learn the commands from kube control, how to manage while self-hosting. Thank you, Tim. Drawing is good. How to learn kube control commands. You know, there's only a handful you really need to know, at least to get started. You know, simple ones like kube control get nodes. It's going to show you all of the nodes in your cluster. Kube control, whatever, you know, create deployment or apply a file or get a deployment. Or, I mean, there's so many are there, and it depends on what you want to do. The basic ones for me, get nodes, you know, create deployments, create services, get those services and deployments, or describe those services and deployments, or delete those resources from there. And if you're using Oh My Zish or using Zshell, if you go into Oh My Zish, here's a cool tip. If you go into there and you nano, or did I say nano? Yeah, I said nano. If you vim or nano, you edit your ZSHRC file. In there, you'll see a property that says plugins. I think the only plugin that's there is Git. But the two that I turn on top of that are Docker and kube control. And if you turn those on, you'll not only get IntelliSense that recommend the commands to run along with arguments, but it'll also query those resources too, which is super awesome. So what do I mean by that? So if you said, you know, Docker run or Docker stop and you hit tab, you'll actually see all your running containers and you can select them. So it's not just the API or the arguments for the command itself. It's actually going to query the Docker API and give you results back so you can select those. And the same goes with kube control too. And if you turn that plugin on, you'll get a lot of IntelliSense. So I can say, you know, kube control get, and then I tab, and I'll say, oh, service, and I select service, and I say tab. It'll query Kubernetes, give me all the services back, and then I can select that service and hit enter. But that's probably not the best way to learn, is just diving right into the tool. It's kind of how I learn. I have some super generic, I think I have some super generic ones in the video from today of how you deploy something with kube control, how you create a deployment, how you create a service, how you scale it, how you delete it, how you clean it up. It's all in there. So you don't have to do the whole Ansible thing, but the commands that I used are in there today, or I can point you to something too. Xavier's T, oh no, I have a warranty from the seller. They used 3 terabyte SAS drives. Just checking them to make sure he did not send bad ones. I always check before I use them. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. I didn't check my brand new ones. I should, but I was chomping at the bit for just getting my disk shelf up and going. I didn't check them. I figured, I'll figure it out later. when the ZFS array gets scrubbed, that's when I'll figure it out. And that's when I did figure it out. Not good. I do bad blocks on all new spinning. Oh, I see what you mean. On all new spinning drives, it's part of my new drive procedure. It's on my site. If they're bad drives, they'll also fail so I can RMA them. Any drive that's passed that testing has at least 5 years for me. Yeah, for sure. Zero CI. What a struggle to get an HP DL380 G8 plus NetApp 4246 TrueNAS VM RAID card pass-through, but now it's working. All right. Yeah, that one's pretty deep. I wonder where the challenges are there. I would say it's probably with the RAID card, getting it in IT mode, or maybe it's the pass-through from the HP on Proxmox to that virtual machine. Oh, that's tough. That's tough. Oh, let's see. Just open up the project or let's see. All right, I'm gonna look for mentions because we are close to that time. Let me see. Takano, looks like the manufacturer put the fan backwards and causing it to hit a plastic piece. Oh man, that's not good. Matt Minister, hi Tim. So about K3s and etcd, how much traffic is there to be? You asked me that question already. I think I answered that. Gonna look for mentions now because we got to wrap it up. You're welcome, Tim, and thanks for the great easy setup. I had mine all set up with basic scripts. This was way easier, plus no more freaking Nginx load balancer. Submitted to PR2. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's I mean it kind of stinks because it's like, okay, well you got to learn Ansible, but really you don't even have to learn Ansible. You just got to install it and have it running, and obviously have your SSH key set up and then run it. Right? And then so you can realize the value really fast and then go back and learn about Ansible later on if you want to too. Okay, gonna look for mentions because I know we're close. We're over time, so I'm getting close. Kaizi, looking to start investing full time into my home lab. Oh, investing in the home lab. I feel like I've never put it that way, but I know what you mean. I've invested quite a bit in my home lab. I like it that you call it an investment. It truly is. Other people just say, why you waste money on all those servers in your basement? I'm like, I'm going to start saying, this is an investment. Anyways, not making fun of you. I just love the perspective because I need to have that perspective too when people throw shade at me. Anyways, you probably mean investing mind share, not money. So anyways, I'm investing fully. I'm fully investing time into my home lab and time, which I've been fortunately gifted from my current workplace. Awesome. Free home lab too. So zero investment dollar-wise. How do you know where to look? When looking to introduce new services in your infrastructure, what's your biggest recommendation in terms of learning Kubernetes? Oh, my biggest recommendation? It's tough. I mean, it's tough. So the only way I feel like, at least for me, I learn by doing. Some people learn by reading or by seeing or by doing or by any number of ways. People learn in all different ways. I learn by doing. So for me, the only way I'm going to learn Kubernetes in the beginning was to have Kubernetes myself. Like I got to have it myself. Like I can't, like I can listen to people talk about things when I can't do things hands-on. So I combine the two. For me personally, have something I can do hands-on. When I can't do it hands-on, when I'm driving or whatever else, I listen because then I'll pick up tips to then try when I get back to my keyboard. But my biggest recommendation is just get it installed, get something running, even if it's a single node K3s node, so you can execute some kube control commands and you can start to write some YAML to see how it works. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. And there's probably even a free tier in one of the clouds that has, a Kubernetes free tier that you could probably try to issue kube control commands to do things with. It's a little more disconnected though, but it's probably a good thing. There's a layer of abstraction and there's also, a layer of like a firewall and everything in between, which is kind of nice because you can kind of cheat in a home lab. You're like, well, I know that IP address. It's right there. So I can ping it and I can go do things in it and I can SSH into it. And those aren't things you typically do with, if you're getting Kubernetes as a service in the cloud. Anyways, I'm off on a tangent. I would say spin up Kubernetes if you want to learn Kubernetes. That's really the only way that I personally learned it. And then from there, I started thinking about, my go-to always is Nginx. It's tiny, it's easy to spin up, it needs zero configuration, and you can see the results in a curl or a browser. So that's the first thing. After I get Kubernetes running, I'm like, okay, install Nginx, install a service, expose it, either on node port or however you're going to expose it, node port, load balancer, and query it. Either curl it or go to it with a browser. I'm like, that's awesome. It works. okay, what's the next thing I want to do? Well, I might need to modify some configuration. And so I'm like, okay, well, how would I modify this configuration? Well, I probably need to modify the container. So I got to build my own container and ship that container to it. And, you know, that's a large part of what, at least what I do in Kubernetes, is building containers and putting those containers in Kubernetes. So it kind of branches out from there. But I think for me, at least, and might be for you, is to just get Kubernetes running somewhere so you can try it out, test it out. And if it is in the cloud, you'll get a nice UI for it too, which is super helpful in the beginning, which is why I found Rancher in the beginning, because I didn't really understand Kubernetes concepts. And for me, it was like I needed something I could touch and see. And that was Rancher for me. It does take a lot to get Rancher set up. You could do the Docker version of it and you could play with it that way. Or you could do k3s, but I mean, a single node Rancher cluster with Kubernetes is an easy way to learn too. I mean, you'll get a Kubernetes API, you could spin it up in Docker, and you could go from there. So it might be even easier than going the K3s route if you just want to learn. Use the Docker version. If you want to do more than learn, use more than the Docker version. That's my only suggestion, because everything gets a little crazy if you don't with networking, because it really wasn't made to handle user workloads along with Rancher itself. So awesome. Let's see. I'm going to look for mentions directly, because we do have to wrap it up. And I know I said this before, but I'm going to look for mentions. I'm not seeing them. Oh, lots of scrolls. All right, I'm going to call it. I'm almost to the end. All right. Last one. Oh, at the very bottom. I'll go with this. We'll go with this. Last one. Oh, hope it's okay. Hey, Tim. I've been following your tutorials for a while now, and I was only just today trying to set up a cluster with Ansible, but was about to give up. Then today up popped your latest video. I can't thank you enough. Keep up the good work. CT Marsh, thank you. Thank you so much, CT Marsh. I'm glad it helped. I know it's probably really late, and and most people have a Kubernetes cluster up and working, but maybe they don't, and maybe they want to try it out, or maybe they did things in the past that didn't work out so good. But I know that the biggest barrier for entry I've seen with K3s is just getting the darn thing going. The next barrier is really making it HA, or higher available, I should say, or getting the HA configuration working. Because in order to be truly HA, you got to HA all the things, and that just turns into a non-starter for a lot of people, because they got to figure out load balancers, VIPs, possibly maybe databases, getting those HA, even though technically you wouldn't need it to run a K3s cluster in an HA config, not that it would be HA itself. So anyways, long story short, I don't know. It was something at the same time I wanted to check out QVIP, so this gave me a good excuse to hopefully give something that people use or can recommend to other people, and at the same time gave me a chance to play with QVIP, because it's I think it's awesome. It's great at what it does. I haven't to be 100% honest with you. It's not battle tested yet, at least for me in my environment. I'm not running QVIP now. But I'm going to be redoing a few things in a little bit, and I think that's the way I'm going to go, because like I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the stream, my load balancer for 2 of my clusters isn't as great or as bulletproof as I portray it to be, or that you might think it is. And one thing I learned too, based on the algorithm for voting, is something that was a kind of a mystery for me for a long time, is like how many etcd nodes or control plane nodes can you lose before the service goes down? For a long time, I'll be honest with you, for a long time, I thought I could lose 2 nodes on a three node cluster. That's not right, because of the way that the voting algorithm works, you can only lose 1. So the cluster that I have right now, for a long time, I was beating myself up. I'm like, I cannot take 2 of my control plane nodes down. Why? Why? And I thought it was a misconfiguration on my part. But the way that the algorithm works is you can only lose 1. The only way to have a fault tolerance of 2 is to go to 5 nodes. And even 4 is worse than 3, because 4 still only gives you 1 node that you can lose, but increases the probability of nodes that you have that could die. So it's super interesting to think about. Anyways, so big takeaway for me after learning QVIP, that hey, a node of 3 can still only lose 1. I'd have to go to 5 nodes in order to lose 2. But anyways, Hey guys, thank you so much. Thank you for everything today. Lots of great conversations, lots of stuff in chat. I apologize if I skip some stuff at the end. I do have to wrap it up. I went on way longer than I normally do. Every time I mention anything about kind of ending on time, this happens. But I've enjoyed. I could stay here pretty much all day, but I know you guys got things to do. So. If you need anything, I will be on Discord. I might even be in Discord chat tonight, hanging out. We'll see. We'll see what's going on. Hopefully it's as interesting and as colorful as last week, because it was good. Good chat in there. I've said like this is the most interesting podcast I've ever heard. And anyways, it was a little inside joke because I was just listening to the audio. I felt like I was listening to a podcast, but really I was listening to people in our community just talk about and solve problems. And it was like, this is great. This is like conversations I want to be a part of. And hopefully you do too. So you should totally join Discord if you haven't already. A lot of people there. I think we're 6,000 members. Really close or just over or just at that. Podcast, it's not a podcast. I totally agree. But that's what I felt like I was listening to was, just any kind of talk. Audio, I just felt like I was a podcast. What are these guys talking about? I'm like, wait, this is going on in the community right now. So I hopped right in. So anyways, thank you guys so much for being here. There was lots of follows, lots of bits, lots of subs, lots of gifted subs. Thank you so much. If you need me, I will be in Discord or on Twitter or somewhere. Ping me if you do, or just throw it out in the community and I'll see it later. Thank you again for bits, subs, and follows. I appreciate it. I will be back Saturday. I'll be back next Saturday. This is every Saturday at 3 CST. Or we're on daylight time now. Who knows what's going on? 3 o'clock in Chicago time, Minneapolis time. That's what I'm here, and I might have something out again for you this week. I've kind of been on a roll with getting videos out, so I have another one in my back pocket. I'm going to try to get out next Saturday. We'll see. Have a great rest of the week. Enjoy your day and be good to each other. Take care, folks.